Welcome to this course or this unit. We are basically talking about information systems. This is unit 1 of the ABMA examination board syllabus. So the number of outcomes that we are supposed to cover for us to have successfully covered the contents of this unit. And the first outcome is we should be able to evaluate the characteristics of different types of information systems by the end of this unit. That is outcome 1. And the second outcome is that the second outcome focuses majorly on analysis. So we should be able to analyze how we can use the common office applications together with information systems, how we can integrate these common office applications with information systems to make sure that we have to make sure that we are able to work effectively. So putting together the common office applications with information systems to ensure that we are able to work well. The third outcome is majorly going to focus on how we can analyze or how to analyze the information systems. How actually you're going to analyze how these information systems are going to support organizations. How are they supporting organization in terms of designing and production, in terms of research and development, in terms of administration, etc. And the fourth outcome that we will definitely focus on is going to focus on the roles. So we'll be analyzing the roles that people have in information systems. What roles do people play in information systems? That is the outcome number 4 that we will be focusing on. So after us having focused on the roles that people play in information systems, we will also focus on the issues, the professional issues that are actually associated with information systems. What are the issues? What are the professional issues that are associated with information systems? So we're going to information systems. So we're going to look at the issues associated with information systems, and that is the last outcome that we of our unit. Is the last outcome of our unit. So as of now, in this lesson, I want us to focus on the first outcome. I want us to focus on the first outcome, which is evaluating the characteristics of different types of information systems. Basically, before we even try to evaluate these characteristics, we need to understand what information systems are. So I need to introduce you to information system. So basically, information system is normally represented by the short form IS. Okay, and information systems are basically some formal socio-technical organizational systems that are designed to do a number of things. And the first one is to collect, to process, to store and distribute information. So there are organizational systems that are set up or designed to carry out some specific functions and purposely to collect data or information, to process that data, to get information, to store the data, and also to distribute that information to various departments or other sectors or other areas that the data is going to be useful. So if you look at the socio-technical perspective of information systems, we are going to see it made of or composed of 4 different elements or 4 different components that include the task, the structure, the people, and the technology. So they are made up of the task, the people, the structure. And we'll talk about structures. We are talking about the various roles that people play in that particular information system. And then we are talking about technology, what technologies are brought up in the construction of an information system. So when you look at a computer information system, we are talking of a system that is made of people and computers. A computer information system is a system made of people and computers, and the work of these people and the computers is to make sure that they are able to process and interpret information. Okay. Sometimes we use this term in some more restricted sense, maybe to refer to maybe some only software that is used to run some computerized database, or to refer to maybe an only computer system, just a standalone computer system, and we say this is a computer information system. But basically, when we talk of a computer information system, we are talking about the people and the computers that are actually processing and interpreting information are what we call a computer information system. So having known that, we need to look at the various components, or the various types of elements or components that typically make information systems. Okay. The typical components of information systems. We need to understand that different organizations have different information systems. Like the information system in one organization won't be or must not be similar or the same or made the same way with that of another organization. But in general, all the information systems will have the following components. So the first one is a hardware, or is hardware. Now, when we talk about hardware, basically here we are talking about the computer-based information systems, and here we are referring to the tangible parts of a computer. So an information system will have the hardware, and the hardware is the tangible parts of a computer, which includes things like the processors. We have the mouse, the monitors, printers, keyboards, scanners, speakers, maybe microphones, are also hardware. Some storage devices also. Then they are also made of software, comprises of software. Now, softwares are basically programs. They are programs that we normally use to make sure that our data is organized, our data is processed, and our data is also analyzed. So when we want to organize data, we want to process data, we want to analyze data, then we need to engage softwares for that particular ability. So just to revisit on the concept of softwares in IT, at times we call them applications. And we have 2 types of softwares, or 2 types of applications. We have application softwares and we have system softwares. So application softwares are those softwares that were made to carry out a specific purpose. For example, if I talk about Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop was made to manipulate images. It doesn't mean that it cannot do something else. It can do something else, but it is the best in that area because that is the purpose that it was made. A software like Microsoft Word was made for textual editing, typing and all that, it does not mean that it cannot edit an image. Definitely it can even edit an image, but it is not going to do it the best in the best way, or in the most optimal way than what these other softwares or than what Photoshop is doing. Okay, now that is simply because Photoshop was designed for images, purposely for images. So we also have system softwares that control the operation of the system. For example, we have operating systems. When we talk about operating systems, we have things like we have operating systems like Windows, we have Linux, we have Mac, we also have Android. Android is also an operating system, so they control the operation of a system. They create the interface between the user and the hardware of that particular system. Again, we can talk about of the basic input-output system as the BIOS, as another example of a system software. So we also need databases. Now, since we create information systems for the purposes of organizing, processing and even distributing information, then it means that the basis of operation of information systems are basically data. So database has its work in terms of managing data, and databases are organizing our data into tables and files. So we need to organize the data. So to organize the data and store the data, we need databases. Then we also need network. So when we talk about network, we are looking at the different elements that are supposed to be connected to each other. This is most especially when we are dealing with different people in an organization that are actually intending to use the same information, or we can say different departments intending to use the same information. Then for us to be able to share the information across, for us to be able to actually have that information used across, we basically need to have devices connected to each other in that term. Okay, we need to have devices connected to each other, and for us to be able to connect devices or people, departments or even organizations, then we need a network. Number 5 is procedures. When we talk about procedures, we are looking at the process, or the way, or the protocol, or the methods in which given data is going to be processed, in which given data is going to be analyzed, for it to be meaningful, for it to be able to answer some questions, or for it to be useful, in other words. So procedures give us the specific they give us the way some specific data is processed and even analyzed for us to get the answers for which that information system is designed to answer. So when you look at the first 4 components, hardware, software, database and network, you will realize that they are more into information technology. They are information technologies. They are IT. Hardware is IT, software is IT, database is IT, network is IT. So the first 4 elements are actually making a section of the information technology of a particular organization. So what we have as the 5th one, which is the procedure, is actually going to be specific depending on what information is needed to answer what question. What information is needed to answer what question. So basically those are the components of an information system. Why do we need to have information systems? Why is it important that we have information systems? So for us to be able to have benefits, or to benefit from the information systems of our company, you have to make sure that we are looking at all the capabilities. we have to make sure that we are looking at all that an information system can make. So information systems are going to have are actually earning importance in terms of what they are doing on data. They are processing data for a particular company, for particular input, for particular company inputs, so that now they are able to generate the information that is needed maybe by management for the operations of that company. So for us to have a more effective information system, then we either need to have more data, so that we can have an information system that generates accurate and information that is useful in all the ways. So we're going to look at the importance of information systems in different areas, and the first area is in business communication. The first area is business communication. So if you look at the work of management, the management in a business is actually making sure that they are gathering information, they are also distributing information. So an information system is going to actually make the process of gathering and distributing information efficient, by making sure that we have managers communicating communicating to other people rapidly. So here we have emails that came in, which are really quick and they are really effective. But instead of using emails, we can also have managers using information systems by storing the documents in maybe folders that they want to share with employees who actually need that particular information. So since the managers are able to have this type of communication, then we have the employee communicating in a collaborative or a systematic way. So each employee is able to communicate, or maybe to have an access to some additional information. And since we have these changes and keeping tracks of these changes, then it's easy for the manager to maybe take the inputs from employees and also send some maybe newly revised document to the target audiences or to the employees. So when you go to business operations, for you to be able, or the management of a business or a company is dependent on the information that you actually have. How informed are you? How much information do you have? Because that information is going to inform the decision that you make in your business, or the decision that you make as you manage your company. So the operations of your company are going to be dependent on the information you have. So information systems can have, or can give us more complete and even more efficient, more complete and more efficient, more recent information. I'm in class, let me call you. I'm in class, I'll call you back. Oh, sorry for that. So we are saying information systems are able to give us information that is complete and that is also recent. So if you have information that is complete and is recent, then it makes it possible for you to actually operate more efficiently. So you can use this information to maybe get some cost advantage over your competitors, or to make a difference between your company by making sure you are giving better customer service. So we also have sell data that you can look at and get some insights about what customers are buying, and this is going to let you now stock or maybe produce items that are actually selling well out there. So the guidance of the information system can help you as a manager to manage your business or your company, or to make sure that you have good and well streamlined operations within your company. The third is company decision making. Of course, the information that you have, the information that you have inform your decision, or the information, the company information system is going to help you make better decisions, maybe in terms of how do I put this? Now, the decisions that you make are majorly based on the information you have. So before you make a decision, you need to collect all the information you need. Then you actually analyze that information. Then you actually make a decision based on reception, on what you really get. A decision will definitely and most definitely involve maybe choosing a course of action. This is the way that I want to go. So it involves choosing a course of action. Maybe you have a number of alternatives. You have a number of options for you to actually settle for. So you have to choose which option for you to are you going to go with. Now that means you need to be informed. You need to have information about that particular option, including the current effects of that decision, and even maybe the effects that would come later. So you need to take a course of action on maybe several alternatives that you have there. So if you have information that is accurate, you have information that is up to date, it means now you will be confident to make a choice. You're going to make a choice with lots of confidence, because again you are informed. In other words, you are informed. You have information about. Now, assuming that you want to choose you want to choose someone to marry, and you have a number of people in mind, or a number of ladies, for the purposes of the men. You have a number of ladies, and you want to choose one to marry. You want to choose one to marry. So what happens is you gather information about those people first. You will gather information about those people first before you even settle for this particular lady. So you check, maybe this lady is good in financial management but has anger issues. That other lady is bad in financial management but very friendly, is really good in terms of learning how to manage funds and all that. Then as you are informed with all that information, then you make a decision, which lady are you gonna go with. Now, the same thing our fathers used to do. They would seek to get information about a lady they want their son to marry, and analyze that information and conclude, now this lady is gonna stay with our son because she is actually a good lady. So it's important for us to have the information. It's important for us to analyze that information, because you are not able to make any decision if you do not have information. Okay. So information is very important in terms of decision making. Yeah, so if you have more than one choice that are really compelling you, then you can use the information systems to make sure you are running maybe some different scenarios. You are looking at each possibility. What can this possibility result it to? You look at the key indicators, for example, what will be the sales, what are going to be the costs, what are going to be the profits, and then that will help you to settle on the right decision. So the other importance is record keeping. Companies keep records of their activities. We need to have those records for financial and even the regulatory purposes, so that we are at times able to find what causes what problem and what can be the correct action for us to take to solve this particular problem. So information systems are stores of documents. They are stores of revision stories. They are stores of communication records, and even some operational data. So you need to make sure that you're exploiting the recording capability in that particular organization data, and use the system to make some processes, and make sure you have some useful historical information about maybe an incident or a decision. So you can use this particular information system to prepare things like cost estimation, to forecast maybe sales in the future, and also to make sure you are analyzing the actions, or you are looking at at how your actions are actually how they have affected the key indicators of your company. So those are the importances of information systems. So let's look at the features and capabilities of different types of information systems. Okay, so if you look at the early days of computing, anytime an information system was needed, it was tailor-made. Tailor-made means that built as one-off solution for maybe a particular problem. We have this problem. We are not able to maybe distribute. We are not able to get information about the sales from our branch, for instance. So we are creating a solution for that particular problem at that particular time. That's what we call tailor-made. We are building it for that particular solution. We are building that one solution for that particular problem. But as that was going on, soon it became important that many of the problems that information systems bring out were realized to have some characteristics that are common. And because of that, then people tried to build maybe a single system that is going to solve a whole range of similar problems. But as they were doing that, they realized that for us to be able to do this, it was very important for us to be able to know how and where that particular information system is going to be used. How are we going to use it, and where is it going to be used, and why is this particular information system needed? Okay. And when these questions were asked, then the search for a way to classify information systems came. And we came to the different types of information systems that were identified through the classification process. And when we talk about classification, we're basically talking about the method through which we categorize things, or we put things that we think are related together so that we can treat them as a single unit. So there is a very long history in terms of classification of things, maybe in the natural world, plants, animals. You've learned that in biology. But if you look at information systems, they are not really part of the natural world. We are creating them. They are acquired by men. Man creates information systems to deal with some particular task and even problems. So if you look at the classification of information systems in the various types, it is indeed a very important technique for enabling us to design systems and even discussing what effects or what implications these systems are going to have. So we don't have any fixed definition maybe that is brought in by some law or a natural law, but when we look at a type or maybe a category of an information system, we are simply looking at a concept or maybe an abstraction. Okay, so it is actually designed, or it is a way of simplifying maybe a complex problem by identifying some areas that are common in these different issues. So you look at the pyramid model, which is actually one of the oldest and most widely used method for classifying systems. And the pyramid model, we're going to describe the pyramid model here. I'm just going to show you a pyramid down here. So if you look at the pyramid model, we have at the top notch here, we have the executive information systems. And remember we said the first thing that people need to know is, why do we need an information system, and where are we going to use that particular information system? So executive information system, lying at the top, was basically a type of information system that gives an output that can be used to make some strategic decisions. So it gives it actually an information system that takes the management information systems as input, then works, processes that input, and use the output to actually make strategic decisions. Management information systems are used to make tactical decisions. Then we have transaction processing systems that are used to make operational decision. Don't worry about that. I'm going to really talk about that. So if you look at this one, this is a three-layer pyramid. This is a three-layer pyramid, but we moved from the three-layer pyramid by making sure that we have a different criteria in handling information in terms of the types of dates, the information, the knowledge that is being processed at those particular different levels of organization. So that takes us to a 5-level pyramid, where at the top is the transaction processing system, office support system, followed by management information systems, followed by decision support systems, and then executive information systems. I want you to notice the arrow here. It's pointing upwards and downwards. This simply means that information can flow in either direction. So you can get information coming from the executive to the decision support system, and also information can come from the decision support to the executive. So information flow is always two-way. So the executive information system is for tactical knowledge, is giving us tacit knowledge. Decision support systems giving us explicit knowledge. Management information systems is giving us information. And then we have the office support systems that is also there to provide information. And then we have the transactions processing systems that gives us the basic data. So when we look at the common types of information systems in an organization, we need basically to we will basically come up with this pyramid. Now this pyramid here shows the most common types of information systems in organizations. So we have the executive information system, the decision support systems, management information system, and then transaction processing systems. So we're going to discuss these ones. So we're going to make a comparison of all these different types of information system. So if you use at the 4-level pyramid model, we can compare how these particular information systems in our models differ from each other. And the first one is the transaction processing system. So you might be asking yourself, what is a transaction processing system? So basically, transaction processing systems are those systems that are used at the operational level, or we can say they appear at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, they are the ones that we are just operated directly by what we call shop floor workers, or maybe frontline staff, the receptionists, or maybe that shop attendant, or that hotel, how do we call it, hotel booking station, the person handling that particular system there for doing the basic transactions. So they are actually the systems that provide us with the key data that we need to make sure that we are supporting the management operations of an organization. So we have the data in the transaction processing systems that we are actually getting from maybe some automated or maybe some automated semi-automated tracking of the low-level activities that are taking place and the basic operations, like things like booking. Somebody books up, we takes in information about them, they make a payment and all that, that basic information. So the functional the transaction processing system is actually playing a number of functions, and the first one is the validation. Okay, the first thing is we are taking transactions and events as our input. The transaction processing systems take in transactions and events as input, and then when they take the transactions, they take events, they do validation of the data, they sort the data in terms of, okay, maybe this is so and so, this is the information for so and so, this is the information for this other person or this other client, and all that. They are listing the data, they are merging the data, they are updating the data, and they are doing calculations. The results of all this processing is giving out to lists, giving out detailed reports, they give out action reports, and they give out summary reports. So if we look at the various examples of the transaction processing systems, we have the payroll systems, we have the order processing systems, we have reservation systems, we have stock control systems, we also have systems for payments and funds transfer. Now, what role do they play? One, the role of the transaction processing systems is to make sure that they produce the information for other systems. So they are actually the basis of an information system. All the information is coming from the transactional processing system. They produce information for the other systems. Then number two is to make sure that it is actually standing in the boundaries, so it is across boundaries. It helps us to have the system or the organization to have an interaction between the internal environment of the organization and the external environment of the organization. Yes. Then it is used by operational personnel or supervisory at a supervisory levels. Operational personnel, as I talked about, the front desk and supervisory levels. Then the role of another TPC or the other role of TPS is that they are actually oriented in terms of efficiency. Their main area of focus is to make sure that there is efficiency. Number two, you're moving to the management information systems, which is number two from the bottom in the pyramid. Now, if you look at the the definition of management information systems, you will come to realize that in the commercial organizations, the many different types of information systems that we have are normally called management information systems. But if you look at this, if you look at the management information systems, we don't have it in our pyramid model. Let me just take you back to our pyramid model. We do not really have that. You see, we have management information systems here that handled by the middle managers. Now this is a 4 pyramid. But if you go to the 5 pyramid, you realize that we do not have that aspect. Okay, in our pyramid model, we do not have management information system. Okay, but it is found in commercial organizations. So within our pyramid model, the management information systems are actually management level systems that are normally used by the middle managers. Okay, they are normally used by the middle managers, and the reason as to why we have them is to make sure that we have smooth running of the organization in the short to medium term. Now, the middle managers are the people that make short-term decisions that are going to affect the company for a very short period of time. So maybe we can say short or a medium period. So they are not making decisions that are affecting the company for a long period of time. So those are what we call the middle managers. They are actually making decisions that are going to affect the company in a short period of time. So these particular systems are used to make sure that we have smooth running of the organization in those particular short terms or those medium terms. So they are really they are highly structured in terms of what information they produce. Okay, so they allow managers to have an evaluation of the performance of the organization by making sure that they make a comparison between maybe a previous previous output and the recent output that we have. So what inputs do they take? They take internal transactions, they take internal files. Where do we get these internal transactions from? Of course, from the transactional processing systems. Then we get internal files from the transactional processing systems. We get structured data from the transaction processing systems. And then they sort that data, they merge that data, they summarize that data. And when they sort the data, they merge the data and summarize the data, what they get is some summary reports, they get action reports, and they also get detailed reports. So examples of management information systems, we have the sales management systems. Number one, we have the inventory control systems, we have budgeting systems, we have management reporting systems, MRS, we have the personnel systems, HRM. And the role is one, they are based on the internal information flows. They provide support to some structured decisions. And remember, these decisions are short term. They are also inflexible. They have some little analytical capacity, and they are used by lower and middle managerial levels to deal with the past and also the recent rather than the future. So their focus is the past and the recent. They don't decide about the future. They don't make decisions about the future. They are focusing on the past and the recent. So the third type is the decision support systems. The third type is the decision support system. So when you talk about a decision support system, we are looking at it as a knowledge base, a system that is knowledge based and is normally used by senior managers to make sure that they have enough knowledge, and that is going to allow the integration maybe into the organization. So the system here are normally used to analyze the information that is already existing and allow managers to maybe project some of the potential effects of the decisions that they are going to make into the future. So these systems are interactive, and also we use them to make sure that the managers use them to solve some ill-structured problems. So they are actually giving access to databases. You're able to get databases. You're able to have an access to analytical tools. You are also able to do some simulations. What if we do this? What is going to happen? What if we do that? What is going to happen? And they are also supporting the exchange of information in that particular organization. So if we look at the function of the decision support systems, they are actually systems that manipulate and they actually build on the information that is obtained from the management information systems and the transactional processing system to make sure that they have insights that is actually generating some new information for that particular organization. So they are taking inputs from internal transactions, internal files, and external information as well. Then they are processing the inputs through modeling, simulation, analysis, and summarizing. And what they get out is the summary reports, they get out forecasts, they get out graphs or plots. Some examples: we have the group decision support systems, we have the computer supported cooperative work, we have the logistics systems, we have financial planning systems, we have spreadsheet models. Now the role is of course to support the ill-structured and also the semi-structured decisions, to give analytical and the modeling capacity, and they are used by more senior level managers. It's important for you to know, and their main concern is to predict the future. It's not like the management information systems that are focusing on the past and the present. These ones are focusing on making a prediction on the future. They are also effective oriented. Now the fourth one is the executive information system. An executive information system is an information system that is at the strategic level, and they're actually at the top of the pyramid, and their work is to help executives and senior managers to have an analysis of the environment in which that organization is actually operating, to make sure that they identify the long-term trends that are there, and also to plan what actions are we going to take in regards to these long-term trends that are actually occurring. So the information that we get from the executive information systems is most of times structured in terms of structured weekly, and also it is from both the internal and the external sources of information. So they are designed to make sure that they are operated directly by those executives. The executives should not need intermediaries for them to be able to operate those information systems. So the functions, of course, they are there to make sure that they organize data and also present data and the information systems from the both external data sources and the internal data sources. So when you talk about internal data sources, we are talking about the data that came from the management information systems and from the transactional processing system, to make sure that support is given into the decisions that these senior executives are going to make. So the inputs that we get are external data, internal files, and predefined models. Then the processing is done by summarizing, simulation, drilling down, and what we get out of these is summary reports, forecasts, and graphs and plots. So examples of the executive information systems, we have they are actually made for a particular group. They're not really we can't have a concrete example in this term, but we have a number of what we call off-the-shelf executive information system packages that also exist for many other enterprises that people can get and customize. The role is they are concerned they are actually concerned in making sure that there is ease of use. They are concerned with predicting the future. They are effective oriented. They are highly flexible. They support decisions that are not structured. So they are going to consume both the internal and external data sources, and being used by they're going to be used by the most senior levels managers. Okay, so those are the different types of information systems. Now we need to look at what are the characteristics of information systems. So we're going to look at the abstract characteristics of information systems, and the first one is an information system should have characteristics such as organizing data into information. What is the difference between data and information? Data are raw facts and figures. That have no meaning to the user, but when data is processed, it results to meaningful information. So information is data that has been processed. It is meaningful to the user. So the information systems should have the characteristics of being able to organize data into information. They should also be able to analyze the information to actually give out knowledge. Okay, the major characteristics, however, of computerized information systems includes: one, there is computerization of the management of the different structures of the business. Of course, when we talk about this, we are talking about the accounting, the human resources. They are all computerized. So they are computerized using databases. They are computerized using some user interfaces to enable manipulation. Number two, we have automation. All the business workflows in that in that particular organization are computerized. They are computerized to involve users, and these users could be employees. They can involve objects. Objects can be maybe admission papers, or using some enterprise resource planning, or some various applications that are used in that particular field. Number three, they are decisional. Okay, they are systems that are used by managers to actually offer some indicators, some trends, some hidden patterns, and even graphs that are going to help the managers to understand the state of a particular business and actually offer a decision that is going to be the best, or take a choice or a path that is going to be the best. So we have factors that make a good information system. So if you look at those computerized information system, but for us to say that this information system is a good information system, there are a number of things that we look, and the first thing that we need to look at is the accuracy and reliability of that particular information. So what do we mean by accuracy? Accuracy means information that is precise. Reliability simply means information that we can depend on. We can actually use this information to make a decision, and whatever we expect as the outcome is what shall come. Number two is usefulness of information. The information that you're providing, is it useful? For example, I am looking for an IT manager job, and you come to advertise to me a vacancy about a nursing job. That information might be timely, might be accurate, might be reliable, but it is not useful in my case because I'm not a nurse. I'm not looking for a nursing job. I'm looking for an IT manager job. Then timeliness of information. The time you obtain the information is important in regards to the decisions that you make. For example, if you're thinking of either increasing production of shoes in your company, and you want to know the sales rate in the market today, and somebody brings you information about the sales rate in the market for 3 years ago, you see, you cannot really rely on that information, because that information is not timely. If it was high at that particular time 3 years ago, it's not necessarily that the sales rate is high at this particular time. It is of the essence, it is of importance for us to know that a good information system should give information that is timely. If I come and tell you today that there was a job vacancy that was announced 3 days ago and the deadline was yesterday, how is that information useful to you? How is that information important to you? How is that information good to you? It is not, because you can't apply for that job. The deadline already passed. This information is not timely. It might be accurate, it might be reliable, it might be true, but now it is not timely. It came at the wrong time, so you cannot use that information. Number 4, good information systems should actually give information that is complete. So the completeness of information is very important. If I just come and tell you, hey, somebody is calling you, or hey, see the manager, and I leave, and maybe you are new, you don't even know where the manager's office is, that information is incomplete. So we need complete information for us to be able to carry out our normal operations. So a good information system should give information that is complete. So again, we have the capabilities of information systems. So information systems give us a number of capabilities that we can actually take advantage of to make sure that we are achieving some business results. So if you look on these capabilities, we can actually implement systems that are going to be good, or are going to be specific to our business needs, to make sure that then we have some we are able to respond to some either demands or some problems caused by the environment, and even from the internal aspect of the business. So the principal capabilities of information systems includes: 1, they are fast and accurate in terms of data processing. So we have fast and accurate data processing. So because we have some large storage capacity, we have rapid communication between sites, then data processing is fast, is accurate. Number 2, we get instantaneous information access. We are able to access the information when we need it, or a click of a button. Number 3, there is means of coordination. Okay, so we have some parts of organization, like departments, or maybe some organization that are working in collaborations, that can come together in a particular effort to achieve something. Then we have boundary spanning. So when we talk about boundary spanning, we talk about systems that through which organizations are able to get intelligence about its own environment. They can also get computerized information from its customers, suppliers, and even the public at large. Number 5, they offer support in terms of decision making. And number 6, we have organization in terms of memory and even learning. So they create knowledge from the past information. We are able to create knowledge. So this is going to help us learn. Okay, it is going to help us learn. Maybe in the past years this decision was made, and the effects of this decision was this and this and this and this. So we are able to learn. That means we are not going to make a similar mistake this particular year. Number 7, there is routinizing, or what we call routinizing organizational practice. You can create a routine of the particular practices in that particular organization. Then number 8, we have the differentiation of products and services. You are able to differentiate this product from the other product, this service from the other service. Number 9, we have modeling, and in terms of modeling, we are talking about a simplified representation, or a real-time object, or a phenomenon that is going to help you to understand or even develop that real object. Number 10, we have automation. So information system help us to replace human labor. A lot of things are done using computers that could be done by human beings. So you have different technologies that are used in different information systems. It's very important for us to understand these technologies. Okay, now the first thing that is really confusing is information system and information technology. What is the difference between information system and information technology? Now, information technology is actually a subset of information system. IT is a subset of information system, or IS. It is maybe you can say it is a subsystem. So information technology is basically is focusing on the technology that is being used to store, to retrieve, and to also retrieve data from computer systems. We need to store and retrieve data from computer systems. What technology are we using? That is why I talked to you about the 4 components. I said the hardware, the software, the databases, and the network, and I told you they are information technology. So they are the technologies that are used to store and retrieve data from a computer system. That is IT, information technology. Okay, now basically information technology consists of the computer hardware, the computer software, the databases, and the networks, as I mentioned earlier. So we have the hard disk, for example. We have hard disk, we have pen drives, we have other storage devices that we that are going to store maybe payment details of students of a college. That is basically IT. So information technology can also be defined on a broadly aspect as the integration of maybe a computer with a communication or a telecommunication equipment for storing, retrieving, manipulating, and manipulating data. So according to what we call the ITAA, Information Technology Association of America, they define information technology as the study, the design, the development, the application, the implementation, the support, or the management of computer-based information systems. The study, design, development, application, implementation, support, or management of computer-based information systems. So information technology is going to enhance the performances of economy. It is going to give us an edge in solving some social issues, as well as making sure that information systems are affordable and they are also user friendly. So we have information technology bringing up a big change in our life by affecting some areas of our lives, like not some but most of the areas of our lives, such as educations, the life at home, the workplace, the communication, and even some functional components of governments. So regardless of the similarities that we have in information technology and information systems, we have other aspects of information systems that are in information technology. Okay, they are similar in many ways, but at the same time they have differences. Information technology is similar in so many other ways with information systems, but they have their own differences. Okay, so let's look at some of the aspects about information systems and the information technology. And the first one is origin. So information systems have been in existence since the coming of the pre-mechanical era. So information systems were existing. They were existing in terms of books. We had books, we had drawings before even the pre-mechanical era. But then if you look at the origin of information technology is associated with the invention of computers. So that was already a difference in terms of origin. We have been having information systems even before the coming of the pre-mechanical era, but we did not have information technology. From the invention of computers, now information technology came in. Now let's talk about development. Information systems have gone through a very big evolution from us having some manual record keeping to currently now we are storing we are actually storing information in the cloud storage. That is information systems. But if you look at information technology, it has similarly undergone some constant changes with actually the faster processors and constantly shrinking size of storage over time. We've been having very big computers, very big storage devices, very big hardwares, but now constantly with time there is an increase in the processing speed and a decrease in terms of sizes of storage devices. So information technology is also undergoing a great deal of revolution. Let's look at the business application. Now, in terms of development, that is a similarity you need to see. If you look at the business application, we have had businesses using information systems for a very long time, even before the invention of computers. We've been having manual books of accounts. It has moved to the modern tally now. So we have had some mode of communication that has undergone a big change. For example, we have moved from letters to emails. So we have had information technology that has actually helped us to drive efficiency across a particular organization, making sure that we have improved productivity, improved precision in terms of manufacturing and all the other areas that we are actually needing to implement. So I'll stop there. That is outcome one. We have really looked at we have evaluated the different characteristics of different types of information systems. We have looked at how IT and IS are similar, their importances, and even the different types. So we are going to meet in the next lesson, where I'll be talking about the second outcome. That is, we'll be able to analyze how the common office applications integrate with information systems. That will be the second outcome. So see you in the next lesson. If you find this lesson to be useful, consider subscribing, consider hitting that like button, and comment on anything that you want me to address. I will address. Notice that the approach that I'm following information systems with is the one proposed by the ABMA. So this is ideal for the ABMA students, because I'm actually working with or following that syllabus. But it is also good for other people who want to come into IT. It's good for knowledge. It's good for expansivity in terms of what we acquire in knowledge. So I'll see you next time. Hello, welcome to the second outcome in information systems under the ABMA syllabus. So the second outcome is analyze how common office applications integrate with information systems. So we're going to look at how do these office applications work together with information systems. How are they used together with information systems? That is our major area of focus today. How are these information systems, how are these office applications used together or integrated, put together with information systems? So the first thing, we need to know what are office applications. And when we talk about office applications, we are talking about softwares that we use in business. For example, we have softwares that we use in textual editing, typing, such as the word processors, word processing, softwares that we use for spreadsheet, the softwares that we use for the management of databases, and softwares that we use for emails. So when we look at the common office applications, they are really available in a wide range, and they are available in form of packages, or we can say as a packed set from companies that are actually selling these applications. We call those companies vendors. For example, we have the Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office comes as a package In it we have software for word processing, we have software to deal with a spreadsheet, we have software for databases, we have softwares for designing, we also have softwares for presentation, we also have a software that deals with emails. So if you look at the Microsoft Office, is actually an application that is used for desktop productivity and is designed to for specific use in office or maybe in businesses. So it is actually a product of Microsoft Corporation that was first released in the year 1990. So the availability of Microsoft Office is in 35 different languages that are being supported by operating systems like the Windows, we have the Mac, we have also most Linux variants that support Microsoft Office in the 35 different languages. So it is a suite that actually consists of softwares like the Word, the Excel, the PowerPoint, we have Access, we have OneNote, Outlook, and we also have publisher applications. So it was actually it was primarily or purposely created to make sure that it brings automation in terms of the office work. It was to bring automation in terms of the manual office work that was being done. For example, creating reports was done manually. We were dealing with paperwork, with manual writings, but then Microsoft Office comes in to make sure that we are automating all these processes. So we are moving from manual office work to automated office work using these particular applications. So each of those applications that we have in Microsoft Office suites have a specific knowledge, they serve a specific domain. For example, if you look at Microsoft Word, it is actually used in creating text documents. So anytime you want to type a document, you want to type a report, you would settle for Microsoft Word. Then we have Microsoft Excel that is majorly used to create data and also create some numerical spreadsheets, and it can be used to create both simple data and even complicated or complex numerical spreadsheets. They have Microsoft PowerPoint that is actually used for creating some professional multimedia presentations. Now, assuming that you have created a report and now you have to present that report before your employer or before a panel, then it basically means that you will require Microsoft PowerPoint for you to be able to create the professional multimedia that you're going to use for the presentation. So all of these applications, each of these applications is actually doing a specific task, and these tasks are actually making sure that the office work is automated. We have Microsoft Access that is used for managing databases. We also have Microsoft Publisher, and the work of Microsoft Publisher is to make sure that we are able to create and even publish some marketing tools. We can create brochures, we can create business cards, we can create certificates, we can create banners with Publisher for the purposes of marketing. So we also have the Microsoft OneNote. The Microsoft OneNote comes in to replace the normal notebooks that we've been using. So instead of me using my my notebook, I would settle for Microsoft OneNote, because it is still taking the place of this notebook. It is taking the place of this notebook. Alright, so if you look at the Microsoft OneNote, it is actually giving the user an ability to make sure that they organize their notes in a neat way and make them more presentable to themselves. So beside us looking at the desktop applications, we have this Microsoft Office available from online use. You can use it online, you can use it from the cloud, of course under what we call Office web apps, and you can also get a full version of this. We call it the Office 365 version. So let's look at how these common Office applications are used by organizations. But before that, let's look at the application software. So when I was in outcome 1, when I was explaining the components of an information system, I talked about software being part of the components of an information system, and I remember saying that we have 4 components, we have 5 components of elements of an information system, and 4 of these elements make up the information technology. And we said we have hardware, we have software, we again said we have networks, and we say we have databases. And these 4 components are part of information technology. And the 5th component that we talked about was procedure, that we separated it from information technology. When I was talking about a network, I was talking about applications or softwares. I mentioned 2 types of applications or 2 types of software, and I said we have application softwares and we have system software. I explained what application softwares are and what system softwares are. So when we are looking at common Office applications, it's important for us to understand that the common Office applications are actually they are actually application softwares because they were made for specific purposes. So when you look at an application software, you are talking about a type of a computer program that is doing a specific function, whether it is a personal function, an educational function, or even a business function. But it is a specific function. It is not a general purpose software that can be used in various functions. Or rather, we have other application softwares that are able to do more than one function, but you realize that these applications are best in one specific function. So each program that is actually designed has a purpose to actually assist the user maybe with a particular process, and that process may have a relation to the productivity, creativity, or even communication. So when you look at the function of the functions of application softwares, you are going to see a number of them that includes the following. 1, there is managing information. We use application softwares to manage information. For example, we talked about the creation of databases using the Microsoft Access. Databases are helping us to actually manage information. We are able to store data, we are able to retrieve data when we need it. They help us to also in manipulation of data. For example, Microsoft Excel is able to do some simple and even complex analysis of data to generate information in form of pie charts, in form of graphs, in form of histograms that can be used in data interpretation. Then they also construct visual. So we say constructing visuals. When we talk about PowerPoint, when you want to actually make your audience understand what you're presenting, people would understand more things that are visual to them, things that they are able to see, than things that they are not able to see. Now, for that reason, we have Microsoft PowerPoint that is used for these visual presentations. Then the other function is coordinating resources, and we also have calculating figures. Again, we can go back to Microsoft Excel. We can use it to calculate figures. Now, if you look at the most common application software programs that are used by so many people in day-to-day life, we have 1, the Microsoft suite of products, and like I mentioned before, it is used for office productive working, and it includes the Office, the Excel, the Word, the PowerPoint, Outlook, and so many others, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. We also have internet browsers as common applications, common application software programs. We have internet browsers. When you talk about internet browser, think of Google Chrome, think of Safari, think of Firefox. These are applications that are used to access the internet. Whenever you want to really use the internet, you need to have a browser in your computer, and the browser that you're going to use is actually an example of an application software. Why? Because it is serving a specific purpose, which is allowing you access to the internet. Number 3, we have some mobile pieces of software. For example, we have Pandora, and Pandora is used for music appreciation. We have Skype. Skype is used for what we call real-time online communication. We also have softwares like the Slack that is used for team collaboration. So we have so many other examples of these software basically. Now, after us understanding what application softwares are and what are the functions of these application softwares and what are the examples of these application softwares, then it is paramount for us to know how are these common office applications integrating with business processes. The integration between common office applications and business processes. So let's understand what is a business process. So when we talk about a process, we are talking about a series of tasks that are followed in a particular order to accomplish a goal. We call that a process. For example, a recipe can be a process because you are coming from a starting point where maybe could be assuming that you are preparing tea or okay, you are boiling milk. Let me just take that simple example. So you are going to clean your sufuria. Maybe you light your gas, you put it on the gas, you pour your milk in there. So that step by step, a series of tasks or series of actions that are supposed to be completed for you to accomplish a goal, we call them a process. So when you look at a business process, we say a business process is actually a process that is focused on achieving a goal for a business. So it is again a process that follows a number of tasks, but the intention of this process is to achieve a business goal. So believing that you have found yourself in a business setup once or twice or once in a while, you might have participated in some business processes. So when you look at anything that ranges from a simple process, for example, you want to make a sandwich, to a complicated process like building a space shuttle, there are processes that are followed, either one or even more processes that are followed. So when you talk about processes, you're talking about things that businesses go through every day for them to be able to accomplish the mission they have in that sector. So we have some businesses that are going to look at their processes as maybe a strategy for achieving or for attaining a competitive advantage. But again, we need to understand that a process that is able to achieve a goal must be unique, or is unique in a way, and can actually put that company, can set that company apart. It's very important for us to understand that it can set the company apart. So a process, on the other hand, that eliminates or reduces the costs is able to allow a company to lower its prices, and in the process of doing that, it is able to actually maintain, is able to actually retain some profit or increased profit, or more profit, so to say. Now let's look at the ERP systems. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So when you look at the enterprises systems, they are able to actually put in or engage some business processes of a whole company or an entire firm in and put it in a single software. So one software that has all the businesses processes for a company, okay, and this system is going to enable information to flow throughout that organization, from one person to another, from one department to another. So there are systems that majorly focuses on the internal processes, but at times might have an inclusion of transactions with maybe customers and even suppliers or vendors in that case. So when you look at an enterprise resource planning system, is basically a software that has a database that is centralized. When we talk about a centralized database, you're talking about a standalone database for a company. It is the opposite of a distributed database. When we talk about distributed database, it means that we have different databases in different locations that are actually working together. They are actually serving the same purpose, such that when one database is down, the client cannot notice what actually happened. Everything is going on the way it's expected to go. If one database is one machine is under maintenance, we have other machines that are powering up that database. The database is still operating. So the clients do not understand, or the users of that database do not really know that we have a breakdown. Why? Because we are working on a distributed database. Now when we talk of a centralized database, we are talking about a single database that is used to run that entire company. Now let's then look at let's look closely at the following components here. So we have a centralized database. Now if you look at the image on the screen, a centralized database is actually at the center of all these departments here. So we have finance, we have sales, we have purchasing, we have accounting, we have engineering, we have human resource, we have planning, we have business intelligence. All these departments are using the same database. They store and they also query information from this same database. So when we look at this whole thing, we call this thing an enterprise resource planning system, which is the ERP. So an ERP system, basically we need to know that, one, it is a software application. It is a software application. This simply means that people developed it with some specific logic and some rules behind the operation of that particular system. So after it is developed, then it has to be installed, it has to be put in the machine, and it has to be configured to make sure that it is working for a specific organization or individual. Number two, an ERP system, we said it is a software application, but a part of we don't stop there. It has a centralized database, like I explained there. So it is a software application with a centralized database. So what I mean here is that all the data in that particular enterprise resource planning system is stored in a single database that is central. Now, why is this centralization important? The centralization is important to the success of that ERP, since we have data that is entered maybe in one part of the company, or let's say in one department of that company, is immediately available to other parts of the company. For example, if the finance department here updates data, this data is available to the planning immediately. It is available to all these departments on an immediate effect. If sales delete some data here, the data is deleted to all these departments. if they update some data, the data is updated for all these departments. So any changes that are made by one department are visible and available to all the other departments on an immediate effect. That is the essence of the ERP having a centralized database. Okay. Number 3, the centralized database can be used to run. Okay, the ERP can be used to run a whole company or the entire company. So an ERP manages the operations of an entire organization. Okay, so we have companies that can purchase maybe modules for an ERP that represent different functions within an organization. So that it doesn't mean that all the processes of that organization must be in one system. If the company decides, they can have a system for every function, like get a module for all these functions. For example, finance, there can be an ERP module for that, for finance department, manufacturing, sales. So we have other companies that would choose to either buy so many modules, okay, and we have others that would choose to buy maybe some subset of all those modules. So when you look at an ERP system, we don't only look at the centralizing aspect of an organization or of the data of that particular organization, but you are looking at the process that actually enforces the organization's adaptations. So when we have an ERP vendor that designs maybe a model, that model has to make sure that it puts into implementation the rules that are actually in association with the business processes of that particular organization. So if you look at, for example, the selling point of an ERP, you will realize that it has the best practices that are built into it. This is so to say that if we have an organization that is actually implementing an ERP, it also gets some improvement in terms of what are the best practices of that particular deal, of that particular process. So you have many organizations that implement ERPs as an opportunity that excellently improves their business's practices, and also they upgrade their software at that particular same time. We have other organizations where the ERP is posing a big challenge, because it is the process that is actually embedded in the ERP better than the process they are currently utilizing. They are asking themselves that question. We are actually utilizing this process. Now, is the process that is being introduced by this ERP better than the process we are working with? So questions like that brings challenges. They would be asking themselves so many questions. Things like, if we implement this ERP and it happens to be the same as the one that our competitors have, then it means they will simply become more like them, and that is going to make it very difficult for them to differentiate themselves. So the ERP systems have been under criticism in terms of them accommodating business processes, or maybe driving all the business processes, and making all the business processes for all the organizations look the same, and that makes it lose their uniqueness. But it's good news that ERP systems also, you have the capability to configure them with your custom processes. So if you have an organization that your organization want to continue using your own processes, or maybe come up with other processes, you can actually use that ERP to you can customize the ERP to adapt your processes. It's important to understand that we have a drawback in customizing these ERP systems, because the organizations will have to make sure they are maintaining the changes they are making to the ERP themselves. So if we update an ERP system, if an update of an ERP system is out, then any organization that has put in some custom processes will be required to make sure that they are putting the change into their own ERP. This is going to actually need some people that are going to be in charge of maintaining maybe a list of those changes, and will also need some retesting every time the upgrade is made. So we have organizations that are really wrestling with this decision. When should they go ahead and accept the best practice processes that are coming pre-built in the ERP systems, and when should they spend the resources to make sure that they are developing their own processes? So when you look at it, we are getting lots of sense to only customize those processes that are critical to the competitive advantage of the company. Do not customize the everything. Customize the processes that are critical. So we have some of the greatest vendors, ERP vendors known. We have the SAP, and we have Microsoft. We also have Oracle. Now, that's it about the ERPs. Talked about ERPs, we've talked about the application softwares. Now we need to look at how are we able to put together the tools that are available to create, to store, to manipulate, and to relay some business critical data across networks. How are we going to put the tools that are available together for the purposes of critical business data creation, critical business data storage, critical business data manipulation, and critical business data relay distribution, or maybe communication across networks? This will put us into a term known as the information communication technology. So when communications technology is given an acronym known as ICT. So you would have heard someone say, I'm studying IT. I explained what IT is, but you will also hear another person saying, I'm doing ICT. So ICT stands for information communication technology, and that is what I'm gonna talk about right now. So as we are really explaining the ICT acronym, there is no universally accepted definition, or there is no unique way of defining ICT. And the reason is because the concepts and methods and even applications of ICT are evolving every day. They are keeping on changing. They are keeping on becoming better on daily basis. So it is really difficult for us to keep up with a correct definition for ICT. But the best way is to actually think of ICT is to look at ICT as all the users of technology, or all the users of digital technology that are in existence to help individuals, businesses, and organizations to use information. So all the available digital technology that help us to use information. So we look ICT that way. So when you look at ICT, it is going to cover any product that has a task to store, to retrieve, to manipulate, to transmit, or receive information electronically in a digital form. So as long as that product is storing, that product is retrieving, that product is manipulating, that product is transmitting, that product is receiving information in a digital form electronically, then we can cover that product as ICT. So the concern of ICT is storage, retrieval, manipulation, transmission, or what we call the reset of digital data. That's what ICT is concerned about. Remember, IT did not include procedures. In IT, information technology, we said it is the hardware, the software, the networks, and the databases that are used in information management. But we did not include procedures. Okay, it's important for us to get that one clear. So we said ICT has its major concern in storage, retrieval, manipulation, transmission, and even receipt of digital data. importantly, it is also concerned with the different ways that the different or the way the different uses of ICT can actually work together. We talked about storage, retrieval, manipulation, transmission. How can storage, retrieval, manipulation, and transmission work with each other? How can they work with each other? So when you look at ICT in business, we are going to categorize ICT into two broad types, and the first one is the traditional computer-based technologies, and the second one is digital communication technologies. The traditional computer-based technologies, we are literally talking about things we can typically do on a personal computer, or maybe using computers at home or at work. So that's what we call traditional computer-based technologies. Then we have the digital communication technologies, that is actually allowing people or maybe organizations to have a communication or share information digitally. So we are viewing ICT in two angles or in two broad categories, and the first one is the things you can typically do on a personal computer as you are using it at home or in your office, what we call the traditional computer-based technologies, or digital communication technology that will allow you to share or to communicate with other people, other organizations, and share information digitally. Okay, so we are going to briefly look at these two categories, and the first one is the traditional computer-based technologies. So when you look at the traditional computer-based technologies, we look at the standard office applications, the things that you can do in office, the things that you can do at home. For example, word processing. So when you look at word processing, we have the Microsoft Word that we use to write letter and reports. You can do that at home or in your office. We have spreadsheets. For example, you have Microsoft Excel that we can use to analyze financial data at home. We can use to do calculations at home or in office. We can use to create some forecasting models at home or in office. Then we also have database softwares. For example, we have the Oracle, we have Microsoft SQL Server, we have Access that we actually use to manage data in the various forms. For example, customer contacts, etc. Then we have presentation softwares, which is now the Microsoft PowerPoint that we use to make presentation. We have desktop publishing. For example, we have Adobe InDesign, we have Quick Express, we have Microsoft Publisher that we can use to produce newsletters and many other publications, such as magazines and also some other complex documents. We also have graphic softwares. When we talk about graphic softwares, we can talk about Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator that we can use to edit and even create images. For example, we can create logos, we can draw pictures for use in websites or maybe some other applications. So apart from the standard office applications, we also have specialist applications. And when you talk about specialist applications, we are talking about accounting packages. For example, we have the Sage and also have Oracle that is used to manage organizations' accounts. We also have the CAD, which is computer aided designs that normally assist in the designing process. So we use this specialist program many times to make sure that we are designing things like architectural buildings. We use them in engineering, we use them in electronics, and even designing some roadways. We also have the customer relations management, which is CRM, that allows us allows our businesses to get a better understanding of the customers by making sure that we are collecting data, we are analyzing data such as the preferences of products and also what are their buying habits. So often we link the customer relation management to software applications that are going to run some call centers and loyalty cards. For example, we can look at the digital communication technologies. Now, in digital communication technologies, in digital communication technology, which is now the second broad category under which we look ICT at, we are looking at the communication of data electronically. We have some distance that is achieved via networks. So we are sending and receiving equipment via networks, or via wires, or via satellites, satellite links. So it is actually a technology that it is a category that involves in communication, and it actually involves very complicated technologies. And for you don't need to understand these complicated technologies for the ICT course. However, we have some aspects of digital communication that you need to be aware of. And when you look at these communication technologies that you need to be aware of, they are going to relate primarily to the two types of networks that are in use, and the ways of us connecting to the internet. So you look at the two types of networks, that's all you need to understand, and what are the available ways for us, or that we enables us to connect to the internet. So briefly, we are going to look at the internal networks and the external networks. These are the two types of networks that you need to understand for your ICT course: the internal networks and the external networks. So talking about the internal network, we normally refer to the internal network as the local area network, or the LAN. And it is a network that is created by linking a number of hardware items, for example the input and output devices, and taking advantage of the computer processing together within an office or maybe a building. So the aim of us having a local area network is to make sure that we are able to share hardware, for example printers. So if we have one printer in an organization and all the departments are using the same printer, then we can have all the computers connected together, and we have all the people in different departments sharing the same printer. So the aim of a local area network is to make sure we have resource sharing, basically hardware sharing, for example printers or maybe some scanners. Now we can also share software applications, we can also share data. So it is actually a type of network that is invaluable when it comes to the office environment, where we have colleagues that need to have an access to some common data or some common programs. Remember, this is the interconnection of hardware, including the input and output devices, within a building or an organization. And its main intention is to make sure that we have resource sharing. We are able to share hardware, for example printers, scanners. We are able to share application softwares, and also able to share data. So in scenarios where we have departments that needs to have a common access to programs, a common access to data, a common access to hardware, then the local area network comes in, and that's what we call an internal network. Then we have the external network. So at times you not only need to communicate to departments within your organization, but you also need to communicate to some people or organizations outside your own internal network. So in this particular case, you will need to belong to a part of a wide area network, what we call the WAN. And this wide area network, we look at the internet as the ultimate wide area network. It is the vast network of networks. That's why many books, many writers, many publications, many people would say the internet is a network of networks. So if we look at a broader context, then your ICT course is going to certainly cover the examples that I have given above in actions. Perhaps it's going to focus on maybe some key applications, for example the spreadsheets, the databases, the presentation, the graphics, and even the web designing softwares. So it is going to look at some important topics that deal with the way maybe ICT is used and the way ICT is managed in organizations. So things like the nature of information. So when you look at the ICT, the I is standing for information. So it is going to cover topics such as what is the meaning and also the value of information, how is the information controlled, and what are the limitations of ICT when it comes to the legal considerations. Number 2, management of information. So management information is going to look at how do we capture data, how do we verify data, how do we store data to make sure that can be used effectively, the manipulation, the processing and distribution of information. So making sure that we are keeping information secure, we are designing networks to share information, all those topics. Then we have information systems strategies. So basically it is going to consider how ICT can be used in an organization, or maybe in a business as part of making the business or the organization able to achieve its goals and even its objectives. So if you look at ICT, is actually a very broad and a fast changing subject. It is evolving every day, and that is one of the reasons I said there is no agreed upon or a unique or a specific definition of ICT. Now the reason is because ICT is evolving every day. Okay, let's now talk about office automation systems, OAS. So what is office automation? So office automation is a term that we use to refer to a combination of computer hardware, software and network that is actually made available to simplify a variety of office applications. For example, an inventory management, we can talk of facility management, we can talk of accounting, we can talk of email, we can talk of word processing. So we normally use it to create, store, manipulate and relay some office information digitally. So we are able to accomplish some basic tasks and even goals digitally. So office automation is going to make it possible for business organizations to have improved productivity, and also for these businesses to realize what are the easier ways to do businesses that are going to create profits. Now, office automation began as data processing and also word processing tools, but again it has now moved to including some sophisticated and even complex tasks like integrating maybe front office and the back end systems. So we have different types of automations that we can actually use in different businesses or industries across the world. We have office automation systems that are going to help us to make sure we have an optimization on the existing office procedures, and it will help us save time, save money and save the human efforts. The benefits of implementing office automation systems are: 1, data storage and manipulation. Now data are the important and confidential office documents and records. So when we talk about office automation, it is going to include applications, data applications that we use to create or maybe edit some documents, edit some file, edit some spreadsheet or even an image. So we have various types of word processing and desktop presentation packages that are available and that will allow us to create or edit some textual data. You can also find some other dedicated applications that are used for editing spreadsheets and images. So the essence here is that we are able to create, we are able to store data, and we are able to manipulate data. So number 2, the benefit number 2 is data management, which is actually one of the major components of office automation system that is actually giving us some strategic advantages by making sure it simplifies the management of the data that has been stored. So we have large business organizations that are able to monitor and control the various projects and activities that are taking place in their office through maybe an electronic management system. So we have program schedules, we have tickler systems or maybe some reminder systems, and also some what we call task management systems. They offer features that are actually empowering our businesses to make sure that we have an eye on all the businesses processes without any struggle or any hassle. We have data exchange, the data that is stored and or even manipulated, and the information need to be to be exchanged in an office. So sending of files and exchanging of data or maybe information from one or more members, or from one organization or to another organization, is now made possible because we have the electronic transfer applications. So we can use our network connection and to enable us to share all the data and all the information, including the textual documents, the presentation, spreadsheet, images, videos. We can actually send all this in real time within few seconds on a click of a button. Okay, this is going to actually increase collaboration among your employees. Then there is accuracy. Yes, one of the characteristics of computer systems are that they are accurate. They are as effective as the human brain. So if you remove any bugs or any errors from a program or an application, then it is going to help you in getting 100% accuracy in the day-to-day businesses processes. So we have software programs that are more reliable than even the human. Okay, the human who actually made those programs. Why? Because the human can get tired, and because you are tired at times you tend to make mistakes because you are tired. But as long as all the bugs are removed from a software or program, that program will run and give you consistent, accurate results throughout time. Then we have time saving and resource saving also. When we automate Office, it is going to save time. It is also going to save money, because the tasks that would be done by people are now done by computers, so we need less people to pay. Then the speed at which the computer is doing the tasks is higher as compared to the speed the human would do the task, so it saves time. There is simplification and the automation of some tasks that would say they are complicated tasks, that actually earlier it would have required lots of dedicated resource and some great amount of time to have them done. For example, with the introduction of the latest computer technologies and network communications, we have businesses that are now not constricted by some geographical limitations. So you can easily save both time and money that you spend in traveling, and you can instead work from home. We have another example, that is what we call the digital storage, that is going to eliminate the need of making sure you are preserving some hard copies. That is going to save money for paper, and it's also going to save nature as well, because the less paper we produce, the less trees are brought down. Number 6, we have reduced costs. Now, because we are automating the business, the major essence of optimizing profit is making sure that you are reducing the cost of production. When you reduce the cost of production, you are basically increasing the profit that you can make out of those products. So you don't need to invest much on hiring maybe new resources, or taking care of some tasks, or executing some tasks that you can actually have them automated and executed using an Office automation system. So when we save time, we save money. Okay, and automation saves time, so basically saves money. So as a business, you can save a lot of money by making sure you're automating some various complex business processes, and that is going to save on the overall expenditure, that is going to save on the overall investment, and that is going to save on your resources, and that is going to increase what we call the profit margins. Okay, so we have Office automation considerations, that is people, tools, and the workspace. When doing Office automation, there are things that we need to consider. We need to consider the people, we need to consider the tools that we use, we also need to consider the workspace or the workplace. So we have businesses that are engaging in launching or maybe upgrading Office automation systems that needs to consider a variety of factors that are able to influence how effective those systems can work. The factors that we need to consider include like the budgetary, the physical space, the changes in communication in terms of the infrastructure used in communication. We also need to look some other consideration. But we have some some two more factors that must be considered, and these are the employee training and the what we call the proliferating of office automation choices. Number one, let's talk about the training. So we have people that are actually used in office automation that would include the users of the automation, and also those people providing the automation systems and the tools. So we have a wide range of people, including what we call the softwares and the hardware engineers. We have the management information scientists, we have executives, we have mid-level workers, we have secretaries. These are just a few of the people that are used in office automation on daily basis. So as a result of us having these many people in there, we need to have training done on these people to make sure that automation is done. Okay, so we need to train these people, because we need good people. We need people who actually know what they are doing. We need people who have knowledge in executing whatever they are supposed to execute. So the people that are going to create it and the people that are going to use it, all of them needs to be trained. Number two, it is the choice of the proliferating office automation choices. So when you look at a choice, we have so many office automation alternatives that are available, maybe for a business of different sizes and different subjects and different areas. So we have systems that involve maybe a sizable investment of funds. So it is very important for you as a manager, or for the managers or the business owners, to make sure they are taking a very careful course to study all these choices before even purchasing a choice or purchasing an automation system. So there are factors that are primarily considered or need to be considered, including the cost of the system, the length of the time that is actually involved in introducing the particular system, what is the physical condition of the facility into which that system will need to be introduced, what are the level of technical support that is needed, what is the compatibility of that particular system with other systems, what is the complexity of that particular system. So there are really key factors that are needed in making sure that we are determining the allocation of time and even money for training. We look at the compatibility of the system with the business area in which the company is actually involved. So we have the high-tech new economy that continues to evolve over the next several years. We have business experts that want some small businesses not to fall too far behind. So we have some small businesses that remain resistant to change. They don't want to adapt the automation. And these businesses are really falling behind in utilizing what we call office automation technology. But we have regardless of this plethora of evidence that is actually constituting the wave of the future, we have entrepreneurs, we have managers that are actually leading these enterprises and defending their inaction by noting that they remain able to accomplish their basic business requirements without such investments, like by making sure they are reclaiming their new inventions in technology and even automation. Again, these processes are too expensive, they are too challenging also to master. But according to Zarwin says that those rationalizations don't acknowledge what many recent converts to technology are discovering. The longer one delays, the larger the gap and the harder it is going to be to actually catch up. And though we have many businesses that can still function adequately with paper and pencil, their customers, their competition are not sitting on their hands. So it's important to know that the earlier you jump into this automation, the better, regardless of the cost of implementing them and regardless of the complexity in terms of mastering them. So that's it for outcome 2. I'll stop there for this lesson. I'm going to meet you in the other lesson where we'll be talking about we will be analyzing how information systems are supporting organizations. So until then, see you. If this video is helpful to you, consider subscribing and consider sharing to your friends. Leave a like and leave a comment. See you in the next video.